Welcome everyone to the My Local CFO Town Hall. We thank you so much for being with us today. Today is Investment Saturday, and we're super excited about Investment Saturday. Today we're going to be talking about financial health and what does that mean. So I have the honor and the pleasure to have three wonderful gentlemen with me today. They are Mr. Ed Placzkowski, he's a CPA, Mr. Ulrick Edmonds, who's a financial advisor, and Mr. Derrick James, who serves as a CFO and is a co-owner of My Local CFO. Now, my name is Sherelle James, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. And this business town hall series that My Local CFO is putting on is one where I thought I'm always bringing you financial strategies. We're always talking about the bottom line and increasing profit, but we're never talking about what does it mean to be the business owner? Because at the end of the day, as a business owner in your company, if you're not together, if you don't know what's happening and have clarity and vision, it's going to affect the bottom line in a lot of different ways. So this week we've had Mindfulness on Monday, Tech Tuesday, Communication Wednesday, Soulful Thursday, where we talked about imagination and dreaming. Friday was about grief and loss. And today, I'm happy to say Investment Saturday. So I want to start off by introducing the guys that we have by asking a quick question. That question is, what got you into your field? I think a lot of people don't understand that the finance field is a breadth of all kinds of different things. And you guys represent different parts of the field. So what got you into that field? And I'll kick it off to, we'll kick it off to Ulrick first.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be here. What got me into the finance industry? I just wanted to have an impact to help people, not only today, but for future endeavors and future people in their lives, just to help them create long-term financial security. What I do as a financial planner, I just sum it up very, very simply. We do planning overall for people to help them. We work with them with investments, and we do all the type of insurances to protect them, to make sure that they can live to see all the planning that they've done.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna kick it over to you, Ed.
Okay. So I am a CPA. I've been a CPA for a while now. For the last 7 years, I've strictly worked with small businesses. I enjoy working with small businesses and helping them succeed and meet their goals. I'm a small business myself, so I understand some of the challenges that go with that. A lot of what I do is pretty broad in terms of accounting, financial analysis. I can do bookkeeping, payroll, and obviously right now I'm swamped with still doing taxes with the extension. But yeah, that's how I got into it. That was a long time ago. I don't recall, but I know I liked working with figures and doing kind of analysis. So that's pretty much how I got into this. And thank you for having me, by the way, today.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Thank you for accepting. Mr. James.
Yes. Again, Derrick James, thank you for having me, Sherelle, even though I am a co-owner of My Local CFO. So I appreciate you inviting me on. I kind of got started in accounting at an early age. A funny story, actually. I was in high school and wanted to be a weatherman. But where I'm from a very rural area, so I only saw local news. And that weatherman was there when I was a kid. And as I began to grow up, he was still there. And I was like, well, that's probably a tough industry to get in. And so I saw a teacher walking down the hall, and she was a very attractive teacher. And I said to my guidance counselor, what class does she teach? She taught accounting. And so I took accounting and realized I was really good at it. What made me strike out for us to start My Local CFO was growing up also, my father was an entrepreneur, and the only time I really got time to spend with him as a young child was when we were working in the family business. He rarely was able to go to any of my track meets or things like that. There was not a lot of vacations. And so I wanted to start a business where I could help businesses run their business because they're good at their products or service. But some of the other things that they really don't like to do, like manage their accounting, manage their financial structure, they're not that great at that. And that's something that I love to do. So I figure if I'm able to take something that huge off of their plate, they're able to spend time with their children or family, because that's the reason that they got in business in the first place.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So we know that one of this series talks about business and personal not being separate as a person. Like the business owner, a lot of times we try to separate who we are in business and who we are personally, you know, because society in a lot of ways have taught us that we have to be those two separate things. And the philosophy of my local CFO, the philosophy that I have and Derrick has, is that no, you're one person. And a lot of the failure that businesses have is trying to divide who they are and not coming and being a whole person. So at some point you hit a wall. You can get so far. I call it hustling so far. You can hustle so far, but at some point you're going to hit a wall, and it's not about the product. It's not about the service. It's not about the staff. It's not about any of those things. It's about you, the person who's leading the charge, the person who's carrying the vision. And so as we talk about that, I want to start this off with a lot of times we don't get to tell people some things that they should know, you know, just some things, that general things that they should think about and they should know. And because we have such a variety of areas on this webinar, I just want to kick out the question: what are three or more? If you have a couple more, that's fine. But what are a few things from a personal side, from a business side? What are some things when we're thinking about our finances, when we're thinking about, and I look at finances as resources, right? That money allows us to get the resources and things that we need. What are some things that most people don't think about in your area, in your industry, that maybe they should take into account? And I'll kick it off to Ed first.
Okay. So yeah, that's a great question. I think number one, you hear a lot about, after this is all over, there's going to be a new normal. And I think it's important, whether you own a small business or not, to kind of define, try to figure out what is going to be that new normal. And this is a time for opportunity. It's scary right now, but you might have a small business that's getting stale, operating the way it has for years. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, when this is done, to think about what can I do to get new customers, operate in a different way, because the world will look different. It shouldn't be looked at as it's going to be a challenge, but it's also, like I said, can be an opportunity. I think that's number one. Number two, I would say you've heard a lot about these small business loans, and some of them are forgivable, so they're like grants. I would say, if you haven't already looked into that there has been a new round of funding, which will probably go quickly. But whether it's on the federal side with the PPP or the EIDL, or even on the state side, there's Golden Leaf loans, to take a look at that and to take advantage of that. This is obviously a unique situation we're in, and these kind of programs aren't going to be around, hopefully not ever again, but while they're here, take advantage of them. And then I would say the third thing is to just know there's some new tax legislation that's been announced. One is you can take up to $100,000 out of retirement accounts with no penalty, which could help some people. Now, as always, I'm sure Ulrick would agree that you probably shouldn't hit retirement accounts if you don't have to. But if you have to, it is a good benefit to not have to know you're not going to pay the 10% tax penalty for early distribution. And I'm sure as the year goes along, we're going to hear about more and more tax legislation unique to 2020.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to kick it over to you, Ulrick.
Awesome. I think you hit on some good things, and Ed has definitely hit on some good things, but it's amazing just to see how each of us, or all of us, are in the financial industry, but we all have our own expertise, right? So I think that's awesome. But, you know, three things. I think the number one thing that we all need to know as individuals, as business owners, as members of family, as this too shall pass, right? And similar to what Ed said, it's very important for us to understand that because of what's happening and what we're doing now and having to do to come up with alternative means to do things, we are all going to be better because of it. So whether it's a new norm or some people have been doing this virtually for a long time, I just think everybody is going to be better because of it if we're doing the right things now in the moment. And I think the second thing, I truly believe that having a financial plan is important and it's critical just so you can be prepared for the things in this game, right, in life, unexpected. So whether that's having a financial plan that you have down on a piece of paper, whether that's working with a CPA or working with my local CFO or working with someone, an estate attorney, like having someone or something as a plan that you can go to is critical. So when we have a plan, we prepare for, hey, what can go right, but we also prepare for what can go wrong. If that's not something that's happened already, I encourage you all to make sure that it does in the next 24 hours because it's that important. And then the third thing, I just always tell everyone that I work with, and we start talking about finances, I try to keep it really simple, is do your daily financial exercises, right? Daily financial exercises. Just know, hey, what you're doing with your money, where it's going to, and how you can be a good steward of what you have. I think that is really, really important. You know, in this age that we live with our smartphones, and we can buy so much stuff really, really fast and not even feel the pain of it. But just doing those daily financial exercises is very, very beneficial.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think that a lot of times we don't pay attention. I call it swipe or no swiping, where we just swipe. And now it's not even a physical swipe, like you said. It's just a tap. Now it's tapping. You're just tapping and buying stuff, and then wondering, oh my gosh, where did the money go, or what happened in that way. Thank you for those tips, Derrick. What tips do you have as we get started?
Well, the tips that I have is one, understand your numbers, right? Are you really profitable? Ed kind of mentioned this during his talk. This is an ideal time for you to brainstorm and pivot your business. Think of new ways to grow your business. Ulrick hit on this. Just like you have a personal financial plan, you should also have a budget plan. So what we do with our clients is we do a budgeting and forecasting exercise so that you can understand where your business is going, right? You need to understand the risk within your plan as well. I know a lot of clients or a lot of businesses rather, are you driving your business or is the business driving you? And I use that example is a lot of people have been in business for a very long time. And I use the analogy of a map. You wanted your business to go to Florida, but the business drove you and you're somewhere now in the Midwest and you're ready to maybe sell the business or do something different because you're getting closer to a retirement age and your business is not sellable because you grew the business. You grew a job, really, a job for yourself and not a business for yourself. So the three things is plan where you're going. Don't let the business, plan where you're going. Don't let the business drive you. make sure that you're profitable in your areas, understand and know your numbers, and also start looking at the risk because you need to have a plan to minimize all the risks that you might hit as you're growing your business.
Yeah, we don't like that word planning, and you guys all hit down on that in some way of now's a great time while you're sitting at home, preparation and planning and looking. It talked about if something is stale, if it's been stale for a while, now's a great time to look at it and kind of figure out, well, what can we do different? And how can we pivot the business to what people are now calling the new normal, or looking and forecasting to where things are going. So, I'm going to throw this question out there, and whoever wants to answer it can answer this question, all three or one or two. When we talk about looking at what we need to do in our life, when we talk about where we want to go in life, and we talk about planning, what's the first step in planning? Like if we take the journey of planning, if we're in that car, as Derrick talked about, what's the first step just as personal planning before we even get into business? Because we know that the one place that I say that business and personal should not be together is in the bank accounts. They should be separate. But I also say if you're having a problem in personal finance, a lot of times we'll see business owners use money that should be for the business to take care of personal, right? And vice versa. If the business is having a lot of problems, a lot of times we see people taking money from the personal to put into the business. And a lot of it is because we didn't plan right. We didn't understand or know where we were going. As Derrick said, we just got in the car and let it drive us. And now we're somewhere in our lives where we don't want to be. So in planning, what would be key first steps? Say that we're starting from scratch today. What are key first steps that I need to be looking at to even just sit down and begin to get a plan together for my life and for my family?
So I'll start with this one. The first thing is you need to know what your end goal is. If you know where you want to go, then you can kind of plan backward to figure out how to start. And that's how I would start my planning process, whether it's personal or business. Figure out where you're trying to go.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's perfect, Derrick. The thing that I tell my clients all the time is dream. Like let's write down, hey, what are your dreams? Like what gives you butterflies like when you're a little kid? Because that is going to be the motivation that allows us to accomplish our goals. So Steve Harvey once said it, right? He said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So I get my clients to do exercise, dream big, dream as big as you want to, and then we can start because we know where you want to end up. We know we can put a plan in place to get you there.
So let me ask you this, Ulrick. You talked about dreaming, and we talked about it on Soulful Thursday, that imagination is the womb of the spirit, meaning that if you're not dreaming, you're going to be stagnant. You're not going to be moving, and sometimes you wonder why you're not moving, and it's because you're not dreaming, you're not imagining, you're not taking that time. How often, as you talk to clients and you talk to them about dreaming, how often is it that they say, how do you do that? Or I haven't dreamt in a long time. How often does that happen?
Oh man, I'll say 75% of the time people say, because we're all in this, it's a lot of books out, but we're all in this rat race and we're trying to get ourselves out of it. Just do, and we never think about what we want the end goal to be. We just kind of live in the moment. When that's great, but it's also great to have a plan to know where you want to go. That's the part that having conversations with people that know and have resources to these things, like all of us on this call, is like, hey, we can put you in a position to get to where you want to go and to ask you the questions that need to be asked by you to get you to start thinking outside of yourself and to actually implement some of these strategies that can benefit you personally and business.
So I'm going to ask you this real quick. So what would be a question that you would ask someone? Because someone may be listening, whether it's live or on the replay. and they're saying, I'm right where you're saying I am. I've not dreamt in a while. How do I get started dreaming so that I can then kind of see where I want to go and work my way into that?
Simply said, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be in the next 1 to 3 years? Second question, where do you want to be in the next 4 to 7 years? Third question, where do you want to be in the next 10 plus years?
Simple, easy questions that just. So I'm going to ask this question, and I'm throwing this out to Ed or Derrick. What if I say, I don't even know where I need to be tomorrow? What in the world? How do we help them see past tomorrow?
Yeah, that's true. With the environment we're in now, that's tough for some people to just see past tomorrow. But I think on a personal level, everybody needs to know we're going to get through this. And I agree with what's been said that you need to have an end goal. So start thinking about it. And if nothing else, it takes your mind off everything else. What do I need to do to get there? And I would just say, be persistent, be focused, because there's going to be pitfalls along the way. But as long as you're determined and motivated, you can get there. It just takes that first step.
It just takes that first step. And if anybody knows me and hears me talk, I always talk about the first step. It's the hardest. The first step is the hardest. So, okay. So I'm looking at my bank accounts. And it's not showing me what I know has happened. I'm like, where in the world did this money go? Or why am I not seeing the fruit from all the work that I'm putting in? Now I'm going to throw this question out at you guys. If I'm having that problem and I'm just kind of going in circles, and I know that, okay, I have a dream. I know where I want to go. And I know kind of what I want to do, but I don't know how to get there. That's where the financial piece comes in, right? Is in the how do I get there? What would you say to a person that's like, this is something ain't matching up, something ain't right? And I say ain't right on purpose. Something ain't right. What do we say to that person?
Well, I think Derrick mentioned it before. I think it's very important. If you have a small business, you should have a projection of where you want to be, short-term and long-term, of what you need your numbers to be. But it goes back to knowing what your numbers are right now. Mm-hmm. And then you need to monitor that along the way and make whatever changes need to be done in order to accomplish that. And on a personal side, people should have a budget. There's need to have and want to have, and you're going to have to, think about a budget where, you have to have, rather than, I might need that, when you really don't need that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Derrick, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, seek counsel. So many clients try to fix things on their own before they try to seek counsel. And while they're trying to fix things on their own, they're continually backing themselves in a corner that makes it tougher when they find my local CFO or Ed or Ulrick. Stop trying to fix things yourself. Yeah, seek counsel, especially in areas that you're weak in. A lot of times we feel like we can do everything ourselves, but sometimes you got to come back and step back and say, okay, I can do that, but someone else is better at that. And mm-hmm. So I think those seeking the proper counsel, I always say, if you have become the smartest person in your circle, you need to find a new circle. And I think a lot of times business owners, we're leaders by trait. And so we become kind of stagnant in seeking outside help.
That's a good point, Derrick.
That's great. That's great, Derrick.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think a lot of times we're taught to try to just figure it out on our own, right? And it doesn't make you less smart. I think, and I say this all the time, it makes you smarter when you go and seek help in whatever area it is that you need to seek help in. It actually makes you smarter, and you don't waste as much time. And a lot of times you don't get in as much trouble or risk that you get into before you go and seek someone. I know with all of us, most of our clientele comes to us when things have gotten almost to the worst, or when they're dire and in need in that way. And it doesn't have to be that way for anybody, right? So let me ask you this. If I'm thinking, okay, I have some money, I've got a little bit of money, and I'm talking personal first, and then I'll move into business. I've got a little bit of money. I've got some in my savings account. I can do some things with it. And I'm going to throw this to Ulrick because I think this is more in your lane. I can do some things with it to kind of put me and my family in a better position. Why having a financial advisor such as yourself, number one, is important, but number two, what types of things should they be thinking about or looking at when they're coming to you?
Great question. I think, to address the first part of it, it's hey, I have some extra resources, right? The thing that we're all trying to get back in this life is time. So having a financial advisor, just like working with Ed, or just like Derrick said it, right? They both say great things, like knowing what you want and what you need, and being able to seek counsel. So it's just the time that you would get back from trying to, do a succession plan or work on exercises. I mean, it'll take hours for a regular person to do this, but professionals just help you do things a lot more efficient, and like you said, a lot better. So I think that is the one of the main reasons to have, someone that you can seek, that you can trust to help you financially. So I think, that is the biggest part. And then just like with anything else in life, you talk about, hey, I have some resources. It has to be some type of goal. Like, what do you want those resources to be for, right? At the end of the day, do you want these resources to be so when we retire, we can, spend 2 months in the Caribbean? Do you want these resources that I have extra to be for a child's education? Or do I want to donate it to charity? Like, it has to be an end goal so we can properly assess your situation and then give you some recommendations and solutions to get you there. That's the right we talked about. We're just circling back. Whatever you want to do, let's make sure we come up with a plan to get you there the most efficiently. And so people like Ed and Derrick to make sure that, hey, they're doing the tax part right, and they're doing the planning right, the budgeting right. And so we all have expertise, and we work together to make sure that it's most efficient for the client.
So what I'm hearing is it's less about the money and more so about what the money can provide and do for you, the resource, whether it is a new car, a new house, whether it is being able to take a trip, and these are short-term things, or looking long-term as well. Not just short term, but looking long term as well as how do we want to live the rest of our life? Like when we retire, what does that look like? When the kids have to go off to school, what does that look like? I always say that every dollar that comes in, whether it's personal or business, it should have a name on it. It should have a name on it. Because then if you know exactly where those dollars are going, it makes it easier for you to say, nope, I can't swipe. I can't tap that phone. Is this really what I need right now? Because you actually have goals to where you want to go. The other thing I say is that in order to change where you want to be in life, in order to change where you are in life, or to get to whatever the goals are that you have in life, it's a difference between a yes and a no. Life is just as simple as the decisions that we decide to make. They either take us closer to the goal or further away from the goal of what we have. And what I'm hearing you guys say, and you can elaborate on this if you will, if I have a plan in place, if I know where I'm going, a roadmap, if you will. And yes, I'm sorry, we've been cussing at you today, talking about plans and budgets and just throwing out all these words that are violating your ears. I understand, I know. But they are important. If I have a plan in place, then it's easier for me to tweak, pivot, and move in a different way, because life is going to come and maybe bring some other things that were unexpected. So one of the things I hear a lot of time when people say, well, to do a budget or to do a plan or to kind of put those things and look that far down, I'm scared because what if it doesn't happen that way? What do you guys say to that?
I think you hit on it, that, you know, there has to be some sacrifice at times to get to your end goal. And you have to be flexible, because nobody has a crystal ball. So as things happen in life, there has to be adjustments. But as long as you keep that end goal in mind, and tweak things along the way and make adjustments, and who knows, the end goals can change. And if they do, then, you know, it's time for a new plan. But sacrifice is important, because we live in a world of immediate gratification, and sometimes decisions are made for today, and then you get down the road and you're like, that wasn't a great decision.
Yeah.
I like to, I tell the people that I work with, I just tell the story. I say, hey, let's put a destination into Waze and let's hit the start button. And on the way, you know, you'll get a notification that says the police are up here. You need to slow down. So let's slow down. And the road's closed, so we need to make a detour, right? But we still have our destination at the end. And the reason that we use Waze is somewhat the reason that we use all the professionals that are on this platform, is because we can get you there with the most efficient route, given the circumstances that you're facing at the current time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with life situation, you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get beat up along the way, but just don't stop. I tell my clients, if you get knocked down, if we get knocked off course, even if we were running and trip and fall, maybe we just have to crawl a little while. Maybe we just have to walk a little while before we can run again. But always keep moving. Anything that's not growing is dead. If it's not growing, it's dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely meant to grow in this life. We're definitely meant to keep moving forward in this life, and we all have purpose, right? One of the big, it wasn't done intentionally, but one of the big overarching things that we've heard from everyone from Monday till today is, you know, we all have purpose in life, and that means that you have to keep moving forward to keep living. You know, a lot of people aren't living. A lot of people are existing right now. And some of it is because I just don't know what to do. I have no idea, no clue what to do. So if I want to do some things in my life or in my business, I want to continue to grow, and I want to plan, and I want to have something that is moving forward in my life. What do I need to do, or what? And I know I've asked this before, but I'm asking it and kind of just peeling a layer off and going a little bit deeper, if you will. What do I need to be thinking about outside of the plan? Okay, I've got a plan. I'm ready to move forward. I know exactly where I'm going. What next? What's next?
I think, you know, just like I'm a sports guy, right? A lot of people relate to sports. Just if you have the game plan in place, now you just go execute it. That's the fun part. That's easy. Putting a plan together is the hard part. But once you get the plan in place, you just go out there and execute it, because every day you can just know in the back of your mind that, hey, this is a part of the plan. This is how I'm going to get to where I want to go, where we've implemented. Like, this is how I do it. So just execute it. Just go for it. Be excited about it. Be happy and go.
So what you're saying is I can't just put a plan in place and it's going to happen. I've got to actually put it into action.
Yeah, that probably would help.
You know, you guys actually talked about it on Soulful
Thursday.
Soulful Thursday. You know, we all have a part. I'm a faith guy, and so while I know God can perform miracles. However, he gives me intuitions and things that I need to do. And when you dream big, like we're dreaming, you can't dream big and put a plan in place and just sit in your chair. You have to have some kind of action. And so I would hope if you spent the time to put in a plan of where you're trying to go, that you would be excited to just run. Now, granted, it's a fearful step you have to take, but you can overcome that fear with, you know, meditation, or having the right people around you.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to step with the fear. Just
Yeah.
knees knocking, stomach butterfly, and just step anyway, right? It's not necessary. And there, okay, so let me ask you this then. Wonderful. I have a plan. When's a great time to put this plan together and to move into action? Like, should I go ahead and just think about, all right, well, once this pandemic gets over, I'm going to put a plan together, or once my baby gets to 5 years old, I'm going to put the plan together. When's the best time to put a plan together and put this into action?
Yesterday.
Yep, yesterday.
So I'm actually behind the ball is what you're saying. I need to get moving as soon as possible. Wonderful. So we only have a few minutes left, and I thank you guys. This has gone by so fast. I'm going to now ask you one more time, but with the conversations that we've had and looking at exactly what you do in your areas of expertise, what areas, if I come and talk to you, what outside of I have a plan, we're putting it into action, what other things could I be thinking about along the way? What's next?
I think, just like I'm a sports guy, right? A lot of people relate to sports. Just if you have the game plan in place, now you just go execute it. That's the fun part. That's easy. Putting a plan together is the hard part. But once you get the plan in place, you just go out there and execute it, because every day you can just know in the back of your mind that, hey, this is a part of the plan. This is how I'm going to get to where I want to go, where we've implemented. Like, this is how I do it. So just execute it. Just go for it. Be excited about it. Be happy and go.
So what you're saying is I can't just put a plan in place and it's going to happen. I've got to actually put it into action.
Yeah, that probably would help.
You know, you guys actually talked about it on Soulful Wednesday or Soulful Thursday. You know, we all have a part. I'm a faith guy, and so while I know God can perform miracles, however, he gives me intuitions and things that I need to do. And when you dream big, like we're dreaming, you can't dream big and put a plan in place and just sit in your chair. You have to have some kind of action. And so I would hope if you spent the time to put in a plan of where you're trying to go, that you would be excited to just run. Now, granted, it's a fearful step you have to take, but you can overcome that fear with, you know, meditation, or having the right people around you.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to step with the fear. Just
Yeah.
Knees knocking, stomach butterfly, and just step anyway, right? It's not necessary. And there, okay, so let me ask you this then. Wonderful. I have a plan. When's a great time to put this plan together and to move into action? Like, should I go ahead and just think about, all right, well, once this pandemic gets over, I'm going to put a plan together, or once my baby gets to 5 years old, I'm going to put the plan together. When's the best time to put a plan together and put this into action?
Yesterday.
Yep, yesterday.
So I'm actually behind the ball is what you're saying. I need to get moving as soon as possible. Wonderful. So we only have a few minutes left, and I thank you guys. This has gone by so fast. I'm going to now ask you one more time, But with the conversations that we've had and looking at exactly what you do in your areas of expertise, what areas, if I come and talk to you, what outside of I have a plan, we're putting it into action, what other things could I be thinking about along the way? What other things could I be thinking about along the way? I've got plan, I got action, I've got you. Anything else I need to be thinking about along the way?
Well, from a business standpoint, if you are, we have a plan and we're going through that plan, we're going to run forecast models. We're going to run forecast models every 3, 6, 12 months because things change. As we discussed today, the way that you're getting to your end goal may not be how we originally planned it. We may have thought about growing your business and just continuing to grow and build new sites and start each site from the bottom, but we may find that we are in a unique position to begin merging with other companies or purchasing other companies. And so we're going to continue to run forecast models as we are going down this plan that we have. And you have to just be okay with the new plan of how to get you to your goal.
So what's forecast models? You're using these big words. What's a forecast model?
Well, a forecast is, you can set a budget. Most people are used to setting budgets, but the reality is things happen throughout the year. And so you add a forecast to that budget. And so then you're taking what's actually happening towards your budget and towards what the new forecast is. Because budgets sometimes get out of date.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is a budget is something I set as a plan for the year or for a set amount of time. And a forecast then looks at kind of in that budgeting time. A forecast then takes that budgeting time, looks at what's actually happened over some of the time. So maybe monthly or quarterly, I'm looking at what's happening in the budget and how close or far away we are from our goal. And the forecast allow me to tweak those things.
Yes.
So that it can be adjustable. So you can kind of adjust how you're getting there based on what life is throwing at us, whether it's business or personal.
That's right.
Got you. Wonderful. Yes, it has to be adjustable. All right. So who's next?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I agree with Derrick. I mean, you have to, that's the key, is to be adjustable. Because if you set a plan or you set an end goal and you have a plan and you don't ever take into account new inputs that are coming into that might change it, you get so far off course that it's a lot more effort and time and possibly money to get back on course. So that's just key to the whole process of getting where you want to be. I mean, it's not going to be a straight line from point A to point B. There is going to be meandering along the way, but as long as you're not like a 90-degree angle from where you want to be, then that's what you need. You need help with keeping this all together.
Yeah. So just like roads wind and twist and turn at different places. It's not just a straight road. And that's what happens in our lives, in our businesses, which is indicative in our finances.
Sure, because I would say people might have had a great plan coming into 2020. I'm sure that plan has been adjusted significantly in the last month and a half.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Ulrick.
No. I mean, Ed and Derrick hit it. I mean, we just say, hey, let's just have regular checkups, right? Just like you're going to the doctor, but every 3 months, every 6 months, every 9 months, and once a year, right? Just 4 times and we're going to just make sure we touch base on this, because there is going to have to be some adjustments, because life is going to throw us a curveball that we weren't planning for. But with, you know, people in your corner like us, hey, we are the people that are going to put those things out there and say, hey, we should plan for this. If this doesn't happen, well, then we just have extra. And if this doesn't happen, we're already ready for it, and we're able to adjust. And I think Ed said it, or maybe Derrick, I can't pivot, right? We're just being able to pivot, you know, be able to pivot and keep going.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Well, we are at the end of this webinar, and I thank you guys so much. On purpose, this was not a webinar for you guys who are watching to talk about stocks and bonds and investing in all kinds of things, because we hear and talk about that all over the place. We really wanted to get down to the foundation of what you need before you even get into any of those things. There's a foundation that you must have. And a lot of people don't have that foundation. So hopefully you heard something today on this webinar that helps you, that gets you more in line of where you want to go. You're getting a plan together, and you've put in the destination, and you're actually taking the actions and doing the work that it requires. Meaning every decision, every choice you make brings you closer or further away from the goals that you have in your life and in your business. I'm Sherelle James, the Profit Strategist with My Local CFO. I want to thank Ed, Ulrick, and Derrick James for being on today in the webinar today and just giving us some really, really good information. I'm just going to say thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow is our last day of this town hall series. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's over already. We've had so much fun. Tomorrow we're talking with Miss Laura Valentine. She's a licensed social worker that will be talking about, you guessed it, Relationship Sunday. You know, some of us are in the house with people that we're not used to spending this much time with. I mean, we love them, but we're not used to spending this much time with them. And we need to understand how we can cope and how we can cope and build better relationships while we have this time together. All right, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, and I'll see you tomorrow for Relationship Sunday. Everybody take care, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.